Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Warsaw Institute program. My name is Jan Herning. I am editor-in-chief at the Warsaw Institute. And of course, as you can see today, we are going to talk about military capabilities among Antarctic claimant states, which is also the topic of the upcoming special report by the Warsaw Institute and also by our today's guest, Mr. Finn Ole Albers, Associated Fellow at the Warsaw Institute, also undergraduate student of Politics, Administration, International Relations at Zeppelin University at Lake Constance. Welcome to the Warsaw Institute program.
Good afternoon. Thanks for the invitation, and I look forward to our discussion.
Me either. So let's start. We start with the first question before we dig a little bit deeper into the subject of our today's talk. I would like to ask you about the current political situation in Antarctica. How does it look like?
So the current status of Antarctica is defined by the Antarctic Treaty, which was signed in the year 1959. This treaty determines Antarctica to be an area which is solely to be used for scientific and peaceful purposes. Military maneuvers are forbidden there, and so it's a kind of international governed territory, a global common, if you will. However, there are territorial claims which were raised before the year 1959. There are seven states that did so. These states are the United Kingdom, France, and Norway, Argentina, Chile, Australia, and New Zealand. And the treaty deals with this issue in a way to say these territorial claims, they exist, but as long as the treaty is valid, these claims shall not be waived, and in addition, no new claims are to be asserted. So this is the framework today, and so far it is not challenged by any state.
And what makes Antarctica a place of future geopolitical tensions? Because, as you said, this issue of Antarctica will be challenged soon, or is going to be challenged. And why should one look at these military capabilities of claimant states, about which you are going to tell us more?
So my paper is based on a theory approach. According to the theory of structural realism, you can predict that there will be sooner or later military rivalry on natural resources and territories in Antarctica. Structural realism, developed by Kenneth Waltz, states that the international system is characterized by anarchy. And in this anarchic world, states fight for their very survival. And in order to survive, they must gain as much as economic and military power as possible. And because of that, you can't leave some economic and military power to other states, because if you do so, the other state might use it to attack you or to even extinguish you. And Antarctica offers a lot of opportunities for states to increase their power or to lose it. Based on the knowledge that we have about the geological situation in South America and South Africa, there are plenty mineral resources in Antarctica. There was coal found in the Transantarctic mountains, and so far there is a protocol on environmental protection that prohibits the exploitation of these resources. But if climate change goes on, it might be possible to exploit them in the future. In addition, there's this worldwide problem of overpopulation and a rising need for potable water. So because of that, the interests of many states might rise to own some of these resources. Well, I said there are these territorial claims, and some of them even overlap. The United Kingdom, Argentina, and Chile claim some of the same territories. And in addition, there are the superpowers like the United States, China, and Russia, who did not make any claims so far. But if these treaty for Antarctic protection dissolve and collapse, they might do so as well, and this could fuel some additional tensions. So there is a strong interest to look at the military capabilities of the 7 claimant states.
All right. You told us about the military capabilities in face of this chance of dissolving all international treaties, and the fight will begin. Let's call it like that for Antarctica. So, how did you measure these military capabilities in your report?
Antarctica is surrounded by sea, so I looked at the capabilities at sea and in the air. I measured the number of frigates, destroyers, submarines, and aircraft carriers, as well as fighter aircraft. I also wanted to consider the importance of logistical capabilities, so I collected the numbers of transport planes and tanker ships. Antarctica is a very remote continent, so I thought it would be a good idea to measure if what of these weapon systems can actually engage Antarctica. What weapon systems have the sufficient range? The largest part of my information I collected from the Global Firepower Index. My data covers the years from 2015 until now in order to observe some long-term trends. Of course, there are some limitations in this approach. If you wanted to make a definite statement on military capabilities, you should also include tactics, technology, firepower of the single weapon systems, as well as reconnaissance capabilities. But as this is the very first step of me into this topic, I just gave this provisional overview.
What were the results of your research in this regard?
So, at least on paper, you can say that the United Kingdom, France, and Australia have the greatest number of available weapon systems. These 3 countries also have the most weapon systems that could possibly reach the Antarctic coastline. On the other side, you have some states with quite limited capabilities, like Argentina or New Zealand. In the year of 2015, Argentina had 3 submarines available. Today, there is no submarine available. New Zealand has no fighter aircraft, just 2 frigates available. As well, if you look to Norway, Norway has no overseas territories, so it's a long distance from Norway to the Antarctic coastline, which Norway claims. So possibly Norway could just engage with 1 frigate after several replenishment operations. That's not the problem of the United Kingdom and France. They have the advantage that they possess overseas territories more or less close by Antarctica. The United Kingdom has the Falkland Islands, which are just 1,300 kilometers far away from the northern tip of the Antarctic Peninsula. France owns La Réunion in the Indian Ocean and New Caledonia in the Pacific Ocean. From both places, it's quite a distance. From New Caledonia, 5,300 kilometers. But there are some frigates and destroyers who could actually make it to the French claimed territory. There's quite some differences between these seven states. It's not a homogeneous group.
All right, you mentioned the UK, France, and Australia. All of them have these overseas territories. Of course, Australia is down the south, so mostly the UK and France have this kind of overseas territories and military bases there. But another question I will have to you regarding partly Australia and the territory near Australia. Actually, I'm talking about Solomon Islands and the one of the latest news we have there. So the agreement between Solomon Islands and People's Republic of China. And here another question should be raised: which is if the People's Republic of China join this Antarctic race because of the fact that they can, of course, this is just some kind of assumption right now, they could create their military base in this area. So how would you assess this? Would China enter this race of superpowers or powers in the South Pacific Ocean to Antarctica? You know, we see these territorial claims all over in the Pacific by People's Republic of China.
Yes, the case of the Solomon Islands is very interesting. It is north of New Caledonia, so there would still be a big distance between the Solomon Islands and Antarctica. One can just guess what is the intention of China if they were to build a military base there. However, of course, it would bring the Chinese Navy closer to Antarctica, and yes, so this could be maybe a side motive of China to increase the naval presence in the waters near Antarctica in the southern Pacific.
All right, and another question is based on your assumptions towards the future. So, what developments do you think are important to observe in the next 5 or 10 years in this subject? And another question is, do you think that maybe Finn, do you hear me? Because I got information from our technical support that something happened and you could not see the question, hear the question. So we will wait for Finn, as I see here. But my question to Finn was, I don't know if he hears me right now. Maybe we will wait for him. And in the meantime, I would like to tell you that the report written by our intern, Finn Ole Albers, will be available at the Warsaw Institute website soon. So please observe our website, read our content, share our programs, articles, expertise. So I hope you will like the report. Finn is back with us, so I will repeat my question because I asked what developments do you think are important to observe in the future, and also the second question I had because in these claimant states, just a moment ago we touched the subject of China and drew this kind of bigger picture here if we talk about People's Republic of China. So I will add the United States of America to fulfill this broader picture. And my second question was if, in your opinion, the claimant states you mentioned, like the UK, France, Australia, New Zealand even, so US allied states in the region, let's say like that, do you think that they could fight for this? Let's use the word fight, but conquer, or yes, that might be even better word, in the name of the US, the free world?
Yeah, so regarding China, I'm not sure if I was already out there when I answered the question with the Solomon Islands. So regarding the Solomon Islands, this is a very interesting development because it might bring the Chinese Navy closer to the Antarctic waters. And maybe this is a start for China to get stronger involved in Antarctic issues on a military level. Yes, the problem with for the United States, Russia, and China is they didn't make claims before 1959, and if you look on the map with the territorial claims, there is just a small bit of Antarctica left that is claimed by no state. So probably there will be conflicts when Russia, China, and the United States look for some attractive territories they want to claim. There might be conflict with at least the 7 states. So it will be interesting to see what kind of cooperation and sharing happens within the Western world regarding the resources in Antarctica. And regarding China and Russia, maybe we will see some kind of alliance with Argentina or Chile, or maybe they look for something else. It's quite we just can speculate. But yes, I think in general the shores in the South Atlantic, in the Southern Indian Ocean, and the Pacific, including the small islands there, their strategic value will rise. There are some islands there owned by South Africa and France that are uninhabited so far. Maybe they will serve as military bases in the future. And even in the past, we had some conflicts. For example, the war at the Falklands Island between Argentina and the United Kingdom, and this conflict is not over until now. Argentina still claims these islands, and yes. Of course, the Falkland Islands are crucial for the United Kingdom to protect their claim in Antarctica. So there could be a lot of global tension.
And Finn, we have two questions from our viewers to you. So I will read them right now. The first one is by Mrs. Patrycja Piekarska. And the question is, was the resources diagnosis while Antarctic ice core test during last 30 years?
Sorry, could you repeat? I did not hear
Yes,
the full
the question is, was the resources diagnosis while Antarctic ice core test during last 30 years? This is the question.
So I did not read anything about when this will happen. Probably it will take a lot of time until we will have large areas that are not covered by ice. So the coal was found in the mountain within Antarctica. I'm not sure whether these resources are how available they will be in this amount of time. But yes.
The second question by our expert of the Warsaw Institute, Mr. Mike Verbowski, to you was that what resources are we talking about if we talk about Antarctica? Is it oil and minerals?
So what I read so far, it is mostly minerals like gold. Gold is assumed to be available at the shores of the Norwegian claim, um, and some others. I did not go into detail what minerals exactly.
Right. By the way, I would highly recommend my last talk with our expert, Mr. Mike Verbowski, about Canadian response to the war in Ukraine. It is available on our Spotify, so please check it out. And as I see, there are no more questions to our today's guest. So thank you so much. My guest today was Finn Ole Albers, Associated Fellow at the Warsaw Institute. Finn is our guest here in Warsaw as a student, undergraduate student of politics, administration, and international relations at Zeppelin University at Lake Constance in Germany. So thank you so much for your time and expertise.
Thank you for the invitation. As we've seen, there's still a lot to discover in Antarctica. A lot of research is to be done, and I'm looking forward to see you.
Yes, thank you so much, Finn. Also, I would highly recommend the upcoming special report by Finn Ole Albers on military capabilities among Antarctic claimant states. It's going to be published soon, very soon, by the Warsaw Institute. So please read our materials and check if it's there on our website. And of course, we will see each other in the next episode of the Warsaw Institute program. My name is Jan Hernik. I am editor in chief, and thank you so much, and see you next time.